TxStampin Sharon. I have been in my studio again. By request, someone asked me if I would teach them how to make a split front card. So that's what we're gonna be doing today on today's video. I hope that you enjoy the video. I wanna know what you think in the comment section below and give me those thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so below and then hit the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload a video or I do a YouTube live. If you currently don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd be honored to help you out. You can find my store in the links in the description box below. You can also find my blog and how to contact me. Let's get started with this card. On today's card, I am using products from the Painted Poppies suite. Now, I have done some videos before about this suite, but I wanted to talk to you more today about the two different bundles that are available in the suite. This one is called Painted Poppies, and then this one is called Peaceful Moments. There's been a little bit of confusion, so I'm hoping I can clear that up here on my video. I've gotten some questions from you. So I want to talk to you about the two bundles. Painted Poppies comes with these dies, lots of different layers and things to go with sentiment. So it's a little confusing. It's almost like this should have gone with this. However, these dies do not cut out these images. Make sense? I hope so. Actually, this little die right here cuts that. So it's almost like you have to have both to be able to get the full potential from all the dies, all the stamps. Not sure why it was all done that way. But if you don't want to do any of the dies, you still need sentiments and images, which is what I preach all the time. I usually like to tell people to purchase a stamp set that has both in it. But in this case, that wasn't the case. They chose not to do it that way. But all of these dies gives you so many options to use with the stamp sets. So I hope that helps you. On today's video, I will be using some of these dies and this die. So there's so much you can do with it. You gotta have both. I mean, they're great bundles. They have so many ways that you can use them. And like I said, I've talked about them before, but I wanted to go over that with you again on today's video. I am going to be using the Painted Poppies Designer Series paper. Someone said yesterday they were surprised that this has not sold out because it is so gorgeous. So here are the two cards that I made with the split front. And I'm going to go step by step on today's video how I did this. I created a template, and once you make one template, you can just tuck it inside any of the stamp cases or in your files and you'll have them, okay? On these, I used Designer Series paper to cut out my solid flowers, and then I used solid cardstock to cut out the outline and the details. And then I alternated. I put Designer Series paper here, and then on here, I did the Whisper White, but to me, it was kind of plain. If I had not embossed it, I embossed it with the Lots of Leaves, I think it is, 3D embossing folder. I could have stamped a sentiment, but if you'll notice on both of these, I could not figure out where to put the sentiment because of how I did the card. So keep in mind, if you leave this plain, you could actually easily stamp a small sentiment down here or something like that. So I chose to make these more like a note card per se, and I stamped the sentiment on the inside. We're gonna start off with a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is going to be our template. You'll need a pencil and a ruler. I wish we still had the Stampin' Up! Rulers. Those were fun. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a mark at the 1/2 inch mark. And then we're going to come over on the right hand side and we're going to do a mark at the 3 inch like that. And then I'm going to turn my ruler this way, and along the bottom, I'm going to do another 3 inch mark. So 3 inches from here to here, 3 inches from here to here, 1/2 inch from here to here, okay? So now we want to connect some dots here. So I'm going to do this. And then as far as my dot here, if I come in about 1/4 inch, then it's pretty close. You know, each one of these can be a little bit different. It does not matter. So now we're going to connect these 2 dots. Then we're going to bring in the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, and we're going to cut on these lines. I'm using the gutter here to line up my pencil mark. And we're going to swing it around and do the same thing over here. So now, let's say I want to make another card, okay? I can take either these 2 pieces, which I know it's kind of hard to see on the video. I'll tell you what. I did do some in the pool party. I think you'll be able to see this better. I could take these 2 pieces and use them as my template, okay? Or the piece that I cut out of the middle, you know, when I cut my 2 pieces apart, this piece, I could turn this into a template like that. And then just trace off like that. Take it to my trimmer. Now I've got another place ready to go. Same with the designer series paper. If you were using designer series paper like I did, then you would just place this on your designer series paper that is also measured 4 inches by 5 1/4. That's important. We're going to line this up in the corner and have this edge meet right here. All right, now let's make my new card today that you haven't seen yet. For my card, I chose to use the Painted Poppies Elements, and that is right here on page 25 or on my website. There's lots of fun elements in there. Some of them are vellum that are embossed with white. I don't know if you can see on the video, but I even did some watercoloring on a leaf, but there's leaves and there's flowers. Then there's some watercolor paper that is also embossed, and this is what we're going to be using on today's video. There are some little pop-out elements that you could use to place on a card, as well as some black accent pieces. So super fun. There's a sentiment layer if you wanted to use that. I've been making lots of cards with these, and I still have a ton of pieces left. Just saying. So I've got my old olive ink pad, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to squeeze the bottom of the lid into the top of the lid so that I can get just a little bit of ink for me to do some coloring. I'm going to squeeze, I'm using my Aqua painter, and I'm just going to squeeze the bulb just a little bit to get some water, and I'm going to watercolor. You can let it dry here. I recommend leaving it on the sheet until you're ready to apply it to your project, because I already lost 2 of them and I had to redo them. So I learned this tip the hard way. I also learned that I could squeeze some more ink and come back and just kind of touch in certain places, and it gives it a shaded look, and it kind of matches my designer series papers even better. We're going to wipe the tip of that off, put this away. We're going to use Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp 3 flowers on a piece of Whisper White scrap. We want to let that dry for just a few seconds so that it doesn't smear when we color in with our Poppy Parade Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to take the lighter blend, and I'm just going to start adding some color. We're going to color all the petals. Then we're going to bring in our dark. Just kind of outline that tip a little bit. Bring in our light again and kind of blend that, pushing it into the lighter color. Every time you do this little technique, they'll all look different. So I have colored them all, and I have cut them out with those dies that I told you that go with the peaceful moments, okay? I have a piece of designer series paper, and this is that gorgeous print that's my favorite. I could not figure out how to use this one on the split front technique. So I decided, okay, we'll turn it over and look at the back. I have a piece of cardstock. This is Whisper White Thick. That is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4.25. We're going to add our designer series paper to our card front. And I've already cut out my designer series paper. I picked this print, and see what I mean about the leaves being shaded, how they're light and dark? That's what gave me the idea to do the tip on coloring the leaves. I have 2 strips of Poppy Parade that I did cut pretty long, okay, but you want them longer than what you think you're gonna need. That is probably the first challenge. If you think you cut it exactly, you're gonna have a challenge. So I cut them long. This is 1/2 inch by 8.5. I just took the top off. I took a whole inch off the top one of my cardstocks. I'm gonna flip these over, and I'm gonna add some snail right along that edge, tip to tip. Then I wanna pick up and just have, oh, I don't know, is that even 1/4 of an inch? About 1/8, well, maybe it's not quite 1/4, just a little bit of a border. Then I'm gonna take my snips and just cut following the designer series paper. Okay, do the same thing with this one. So we're gonna follow our designer series paper again and just cut the excess off. So I colored all my leaves ahead of time so that they would have a chance to dry. But this is actually the one that I just did at the beginning of our video. So it's already dry, it doesn't take long. Now we're gonna assemble our card, and we're actually gonna pop these up with dimensionals. You don't have to, you could add snail and put it flat on there like I did with this one. See how it's just flush? And then this one, I decided to pop it up. So it's got dimensionals. You could do it either way. I love how the Take Your Pick tool will help me get these backings off. And I'm still practicing. I learned this trick a week or so ago, but I will tell you, I love, love, love the fact that they're all in one spot and I can just put them in my little bin. So we're gonna add this piece down here. And we'll add this piece up here. If you didn't want them to overlap like that, you could just make this a bigger gap here, but this is the area that I'm going to decorate like I did on these. So I wanted to use the smaller flowers on this card instead of the big one, but this is still where I'm kind of covering up where they overlap, but even if you see it, it's no big deal. Now I will tell you, I tried to stamp on a layer, but it just took away from the designer series paper. I have added some dimensionals to some of my flowers and to one of the leaves, but on the other ones, we're just going to add some snail. And we're going to build our card flower bouquet. I'm going to start up here. I think we should have added a flower under there. Let's see. There we go. And we're going to kind of have a flower up here. Tuck a leaf in. There we go. So again, it's the same split front card, and I had a request to make these because someone saw it and they wanted the measurements. They can be any measurements you want, okay? But if you decide, I do like this, I will have this template on my blog if you need to go grab that photo. But again, it's a 1/2 inch from the top. Your cardstock is 4 inches by 5 1/4. You're going to put a dot 3 inches down on the right hand side and a mark 3 inches from the left hand bottom. Okay. We're going to stamp our sentiment on the inside. I always need thank you notes. If you place an order from me, I send thank you notes, and depending on the amount of the order, if it's more than $50, I send you a goodie. I send you a gift. I sure hope that this video has given you tips on not only the bundles, but on creating your split front card. And happy stamping, y'all!